Good afternoon. My name is Timur Arshavin. I am a former senior detective of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine. I am recording this address as a citizen, as a specialist, and as someone who has worked for over 7 years on cases concerning the future of our state. Today, I want to share with you my position regarding the important processes taking place around Ukraine's anti-corruption infrastructure. Throughout the entire history of NABU's existence, from 2015 until now, we have constantly witnessed waves of informational pressure on the anti-corruption infrastructure NABU, the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, and the High Anti-Corruption Court. This has become especially noticeable over the past year due to widespread, often fabricated publications in the media, particularly in anonymous Telegram channels. This creates public distrust toward institutions that in reality continue to perform their duties every day under extremely difficult conditions. Publications containing manipulative or defamatory materials about detectives, prosecutors, and judges affect the perception of the entire system. The recent statement by the High Anti-Corruption Court regarding pressure on one of its judges is a serious signal. If such a campaign continues, it could result in the demoralization of the anti-corruption vertical and the disruption of reforms supported by the international community. I have not worked at NABU for several years now. During my service, I had the honor of leading investigations into the most complex cases, including large-scale embezzlement in the banking sector. After leaving, I joined government projects in the defense sector, but I am not permitted to disclose the details of either the investigative actions or these projects due to state secrecy and out of respect for confidentiality protocols. On the 23rd of July, 2025, NABU and SAP completed their investigation into the case concerning the former ultimate beneficial owner of PJSC CB Private Bank and 5 members of an organized group. They are accused of embezzling more than 9 billion hryvnias. Some of the key evidence in this case was collected by me when I headed one of the investigative teams. Media attacks that include personal data, my place of residence, contact information, and so on, are not only illegal but also dangerous. They pose real threats to the lives and health of law enforcement officers and their family members. I urge an end to such practices against employees of the anti-corruption infrastructure, both current and former. They serve society and the state. It is also important to mention the standards of integrity at NABU. Detectives regularly undergo polygraph tests, a complex multi-level screening that allows even the slightest risks of influence or lack of integrity to be detected. I myself have taken the polygraph no less than 4 times over 7 years of service. I passed all the checks successfully. In addition, the Bureau has an internal control department that provides independent monitoring and self-purification of the system. Today, about 2.5 to 3 million citizens who are originally from Donetsk and Luhansk regions and the Autonomous Republic of Crimea live in the territory of Ukraine under government control. Several million more Ukrainians have relatives abroad, particularly in Russia, with whom contact was severed after the full-scale invasion. All these Ukrainian citizens of Ukraine have a constitutional right to protection, a decent life, and equal access to public service. On the 3rd of December 2024, the Ministry of National Unity was established. Its main task was to promote the reintegration of citizens, the development of Ukrainian national identity, and to ensure conditions for the return of those who had left. And although the ministry has already been reorganized, the very fact of its creation is proof of Ukraine's strategic course toward unity, not division. According to Articles 34 and 36 of the Constitution of Ukraine, every person has the right to freedom of thought, speech, political beliefs, as well as the right to participate or not participate in an association. Only in cases provided for by Article 37 can such rights be restricted if the activity poses a threat to national security or territorial integrity. Therefore, prejudiced attitudes toward millions of citizens based on their origin or family ties have no legal grounds and pose a risk to the stability of the state, rather than strengthening it. Ukraine must remain a legal, democratic state, and this is precisely where its strength lies. A policy of unity, not suspicion, will be the model that allows us to preserve our identity restore trust, and bring millions of Ukrainians back home. NABU detectives develop professionally in an environment where the key values are the rule of law, independence, integrity, and service to the public interest. Selection for the Bureau is extremely competitive. I myself went through a 5-stage competition where there were about 1,500 candidates for 30 positions. Then there was another competition for the position of senior detective, and every detective understands that their decisions are not just actions within the framework of the Criminal Procedure Code, but a contribution to public trust and justice. Those who dedicate years to NABU later continue to serve the state in other roles, such as reform managers, analysts, advisors, and administrators. I believe that one of these professionals is Alexander Tsevinsky. From his very first day at NABU, he demonstrated independence, effectiveness, and a deep understanding of institutional culture. In June 2025, he won a transparent competition for the position of Director of the Bureau of Economic Security. The Commission submitted his candidacy to the Cabinet of Ministers, but on the 7th of July, the government rejected it, citing security assessments. No public legal grounds for this decision were provided. The Commission resubmitted its recommendation. This is not just a personnel issue. It is a test of the state's ability to adhere to the procedures it has declared to its partners. In 2019, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, visited the NABU staff and publicly stated that the independence of this body was a matter of principle for him personally. I was standing in the hall among many colleagues, and I remember those words well. It was a signal of support for those who serve according to the law and in the interests of society. Today, it is time to reaffirm this position. After the 24th of February 2022, many of my colleagues from NABU, including myself, took up arms to defend the country. Some of us participated in counter-sabotage operations in the city of Kyiv. Some NABU employees were mobilized. There are also those who have fallen. Their memory is sacred. When the situation stabilized, NABU returned to its main function, legal protection of the state. In 3 years of war, more than 2.5 billion hryvnias have been confiscated from the subjects of NABU cases and transferred to the needs of the army. I want to emphasize, if a detective or official breaks the law, they must be held accountable. But this must be determined by law, not by a media campaign. In conclusion, I want to say that I am addressing you not only as a former detective, but also as a citizen. Today, I submitted my own proposals to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine regarding the strengthening of strategic international relations during the war. I am not disclosing the details publicly. This is sensitive information, but these initiatives could become one of the elements of victory. And perhaps that is exactly where our point of strength lies. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the armed forces of Ukraine. Glory to the Ukrainian people.